Morning everyone, live from Today Radio TV online studio. My name is Billy Precious Damilare, reporting for duty. It is another time to listen to Today Sport Update, and on today's Sport Update we'll be spending time to talk about reviews of games that went down yesterday. We'll be talking about the Champions League, CAF Champions League, I beg your pardon. We'll be making previews of games going down today in the Premier League, in the Bundesliga, and also in the Serie A. We're talking about Graham Potter, who is set to be appointed as Sweden's new head coach. But before we go into this news, let's go on a short break. We'll be back.
Welcome to the Boom Media Organization, where communication meets creativity.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. Let's dive into the update at large. Remo Stars of Nigeria is set to lock on with South African giant Mamelodi Sundowns in the CAF Champions League preliminary match, the group stage. It is going to be an exciting match tomorrow at the NKO Abiola Stadium, where the defending champions of the NPFL, Remo Stars of Ikene, will be hosting the defending champions of the South African Premiership, Mamelodi Sundowns of South Africa. Now, let's just look about their current performance, how they are performing in their domestic leagues. Remo Stars currently sits 13th on the log. A very disappointing start for Daniel Ogumodede, I beg your pardon rather. A very disappointing start for Daniel Ogumodede boys, as they are 13th on the log. Currently, they just lost to Katsina United over the NPFL match today weekend that went down last week. They just lost to them, and also let's look at Mamelodi Sundowns also in a bad shape. They've been winless in their 5 games. It's going to be a match decider for both sides. Is Mamelodi Sundowns missing out in this year's Champions League, or Remo Stars missing out? Because look at the antecedent. Remo Stars will be qualifying to their group stage if they possibly win today for the first time in the history of the club, after they've had failed attempts 3 times in a row. It's a big one for Remo Stars to look at. For Mamelodi Sundowns, look with more experience, they are more with versatile players over the young players that Remo Stars can boast of in them. Now let's just go straight to Remo Stars coach Thiago Kone, speaking about their match, saying that Remo Stars is determined to make history in the Champions League. Let's listen to the voice of Thiago Kone.
First time in the club's history whereby we are facing a team that just finished runners-up in last year's edition of the CAF Champions League. What is the mood like, the feeling like, the preparations like?
Good afternoon, everybody. Obviously, is a big challenge for us. For our story, is a privilege to play against a team like Mamelodi Sundowns. Of course, the story they have on this competition is bigger than so far from comparative with the Remo Stars. But how we prepare these 2 games, because these 2 games is like there are 2 games where we can go where we never been, and the most important for us is our focus, is our vitamin, is this, okay? We want to do what we never done, okay? So is to win, to go to group stage, and to play in the next phase of the competition is our focus. It's difficult, of course, but it's difficult for them as well, because it's 11 against 11, 90 minutes, we'll be there. So it's our vitamin, is this, and our organization, and our planning, and our work is just focus on these 2 games, and win the 2 games, you go to the next phase of the competition.
In the first round, this club scored 5 goals, considered none. Are we looking at saying the same against Mamelodi Sundowns?
We cannot say it's the same, because Mamelodi Sundowns is a different opponent, like Zilimanju is a different club, a different situation. There's no 2 games in the 2 teams in the same way, so everything is different. Of course, we know the story of this Mamelodi, this opponent, we know, but for 90 minutes on Sunday, the story, there's no part of the game. The game is 90 minutes, 11 against 11, and there's a lot of things inside this game where we are focused, and the story is the story. It's not. We are not focused on the story.
Just listen to the voice of Remo Stars coach Thiago Conde talking that Remo Stars are determined to make history by getting into the group stage of the Champions League. Also, right there today at exactly 4 p.m. Nigerian time, Rivers United will be in Mozambique to take on Black Bull of Mozambique. Still in Nigeria, Super Eagles have moved up 4 points. 4 places into the latest FIFA ranking, have been moved from 45th to 41st. I think they are coming back. The sleeping giants are getting to wake themselves after their wins against Lesotho, the Crocodiles of Lesotho, and their 4-0 win against the Scorers of Benin Republic. They are now 5th in African ranking. Also right now, the ranking in the world ranking, we have Spain leading the ranking as on top of the ranking table as the first best team in the world. Argentina coming second, France third, England fourth, and Portugal occupying the 5th position respectively. Now to news on abroad. Former West Ham boss, former Chelsea boss, Graham Potter is set to become Sweden's new head coach after Sweden fired their manager John Dahl Tomasson on Tuesday after a disappointing start to the World Cup qualifiers 2026. They are bottom on the table in Group B, though they won their UEFA Nations League group, which will give them a chance to qualify to the World Cup. But it's a new task for Graham Potter as he's in talks with Sweden. He's said to have what we thought would be the golden generation of our time, the likes of Anthony Elanga, Isak, and so many players in Sweden. Graham Potter is in talks with them. Now let's go to previews of games to go down today. Games to go down today at Nottingham Forest will be hosting Chelsea by 12:30 p.m. At the Amex Stadium, Brighton will be up against Newcastle United. Burnley will be at the Turf Moor to host Leeds United. Crystal Palace will be at home as the Eagles will host Bournemouth today. Manchester City will be at the City Stadium up against Everton today. Sunderland will be hosting Wolves, Hampton Wanderers, all by 3 p.m. today. And at the Craven Cottage, Fulham will be at home against Arsenal by 5:30 p.m. today. Right here in Bundesliga is the biggest game of the season as Bayern Munich is set to host Borussia Dortmund at the Allianz Arena today by 5:30 p.m. AS Roma will be at the Olympic Stadium to take on Inter Milan by 7:45. Those are games to go down in the Premier League, the Bundesliga, and the Serie A. Guys, that's all the time we have to talk today. This is the last edition of today's Sports Update on Today Radio TV Online. I am your host once again, Ibile Precious Oluwadamilare. Stay tuned and keep listening to Today Radio TV Online. Bye for now.